Hi everyone! It feels like it's been a long time since I made a video, but I guess it's only been a week. I was waiting for the photos for all four of those shows to come out, but photos only come out for two of the shows, so the Natural Monsterzym show and the Vietnam Pro. And pictures look beautiful. And then our two winners for the other shows, the Everest Muscle Show, and then the one that Ashley Kaltwasser competed in. Ashley won her 50th pro show, so congrats to her. And then our frontrunner for the Poland show was Adriana, and she won the show, so congratulations. She didn't compete for, I think, a year, and then she qualified the last weekend. You could qualify for the 2024 Olympia, and now it's a few weeks later, and she is qualified for 2025. So go, Adriana! The mood is going to be a little bit more somber today. Because if you live in the US, you probably are aware of the election results. And I know a lot of people are like, don't get political, blah, blah, blah. Let's just talk about bodybuilding. But I'm not going to do that. Bodybuilding leans heavily right wing. There are a lot of Trump supporters, especially women. Over 50% of women this year voted for Trump, which goes against our own best interest. So yeah, it's a somber mood for me today. I wish there were more vocal leftist women in bodybuilding, but that's not really how it goes. So yeah, the mood's going to be a little bit somber today, but let's look at these pictures. It's the first time I've looked at the pictures, so congrats to Aesong Moon, who won the World of Monsterzym Pro Show, Natural Pro Show. So I saw that they posted that if you win a Natural Pro Show, then you qualify for the Ben Weider. But I believe this year at least, you can just compete in the Ben Weider Pro if you are natural and already a pro. But I'm thinking that, and if you win it, you are qualified for next year's Olympia. But I'm wondering if next year, I don't know enough about the natural shows yet. Next year, I think that maybe the Ben Weider will just be the equivalent of the Olympia, but for naturals. So maybe next year you will just have to qualify for it. But as far as this year, you get an automatic qualification to Ben Weider, which, again, I think you already get. But maybe that means they pay for your flights or something. I'm not sure. But, yeah, so go you, Aesong Moon. I feel like this was her pro debut. Let's look at her pictures, and I'll look if it was her pro debut. But congrats to her. Cartoonishly tiny waist in comparison to her other proportions, her clavicle width, and her her glute profile. I'm pretty taken with how sparkly this jewelry is. I'm living for this glimmer. So yeah, what would I say about Aesong Moon? I think that she might be sitting into her hip a little bit too much, which is popping out her glute a lot, which is good, but I would probably stand up a little bit taller. Not that it mattered at the show. Obviously she won. I'm just thinking about if she goes to the Olympia next year, if she won the Ben Weider, then that's what we'd be looking for. But this is a gorgeous package. She is, it's so silly to call bodybuilding looks packages. I don't know why I just gave into it. I mean, I think it's silly. It's normal. But yeah, so I would say that her conditioning looks spot on. She isn't too vascular anywhere. As you can see, her muscles look nice and full. The tan looks really good. She's glowing. You're not seeing any graininess in anywhere. So a lot of times you might see graininess in the quad here. We are not seeing graininess there. We're seeing that little bit of matching detail in this back leg, which matches the rest of her. I might drop her hand down a little bit, but this is nothing egregious. Just when it's right there, it's covering that smallest part of her waist. And another reason that I would say stand up taller is when you sit into the hip like this, then that thickens your waist, which doesn't really matter for her because her waist is tiny. But it could be a consideration once you get to that very top level, being the Olympia. So yeah, that is my take on her front pose. Oh, but as far as hair and makeup, I think the hair looks beautiful. I would say the foundation looks a little bit light in comparison to everything else, but I mean, that could just be a cultural thing. Being a makeup artist for over 10 years, a lot in other countries other than the US, it's pretty normal to have your foundation be a little bit lighter than the rest of you. So it doesn't, I don't think, really mattered at this show, obviously. Maybe at the Olympia it would. We would just have to see. And then let's look at her back pose. There's not a fully posed back pose. So what we're going to do is go look at the comparisons from the show. And then we'll also be able to see how she was stacking up against everyone else. So when we look at, where is she? This is her. So when we look at this back pose, again, tiny waist from the back, I would wonder if she could, her hair length looks good. It's showing how tiny her waist is. Maybe it could be a little bit longer, but really it's fine. Like you can see the taper in the hourglass shape, which is what we want. But I would think maybe arching a little bit more just to get this upper outer glute to pop better. But this picture is also a little bit off center, and I think her legs are pretty straight here. So I'd wonder what it would be like if we brought the stance in a little bit so her actual heel was in line with her shoulder. So I would want us to narrow that stance just a tiny bit so her feet are in line with those shoulders instead of being out of balance. It looks like an asymmetry when they're this wide compared to her upper body. So yeah, I would like to see what that looks like because I think her knees are a little bit bent, but it's reading a little bit knock-kneed to me with them being this wide, because if she pointed her knees out with her feet being this wide, then she would look full-on bow-legged. Bow-legged, such fun. I'm naturally bow-legged. I just think it's a funny term though. So anyway, yeah, I would narrow that stance just a tiny bit, not super narrow to where she looks nervous, which is something that we talk about here. But yeah, so that is what I would do to this back pose. And then overall, as far as development goes, she looks very balanced all around, but she could stand to grow her upper outer glutes a little bit more, which is pretty much going to be most people's feedback. And I said actually that she should arch more, but looking at this now, I'm thinking maybe she shouldn't, and she's just narrow her stance. And the reason I say that is because we're seeing, like, when we can see the detail of the skin on this inner glute area, it might be a little bit, it might mean she is arched enough. So yeah, I would just narrow that stance a little bit. Congrats to her, looks amazing. I would say that, the back pose on, well, okay, let's just go to the other people. I'll just say that I think this person is arching a little bit too much, even though I would say she has a better, like, more impressive physique. But she just looks a lot bigger compared to Aesong Moon. So, yeah, that's what I think there. And glutes are looking a little bit overpowering in comparison to everything else, and I think it's because she's arching a little bit too much, but let's go look at her pictures. So yeah, congratulations. It's very exciting. And who did I say was going to win? I don't know if I had a front runner for this show. Maybe I said it was Alum. I definitely didn't say it was Aesong. So yeah, let's take a look at second place here. So we have Yuna. And Yuna, let's see what we would do. First thought, and by the way, I don't mean anything negative. All these competitors look amazing. So anything I say is just like what I think would make them that much better at the top level. My biggest fear is running into someone and having them be very hurt by what I've said. Because I don't mean anything negative by it. This is fun for me. And like I said, not having the best day. So this is lifting my spirits a little bit. So anyway, is she fully posed here? I don't know. Okay, what would I say? I would say tan should be a little bit darker. She's looking a little bit too light. I would say just some refinements with this posing, because I can't get a good read on her physique with the way she's posed here. So I can see pretty much her entire abdomen. I would angle away a little bit so I could see like a hint of the front of the suit, but not this much of the front of the suit. And I wouldn't want her to angle so much that I can see none of the front of her suit. So yeah, I would want her to, because it's making her glute look overpowering and her quads look really small in this pose. And it looks like this is her fully posed. And I think her arm is a little bit too far out. So what I would do is move the hair off her shoulder, because it's cutting her physique into different sections that we don't want it to be cut into. What's my alarm? Alarm off. I don't need to listen to that alarm. So yeah, I would bring this arm in a little bit closer and angle away a little bit more. So you're showing like 45 degrees to the judges instead of like, I don't know what you would say, 110? I don't know why I'm acting like I succeeded in algebra. I took pre-college algebra or something in high school, and then when I went to college, I had to drop down to the class before that, and then I went to my high school teacher to tutor me again. And I was like, I'm so sorry, Mr. Lamp, but I need your help. And I guess I didn't learn anything. So yeah, I would angle away. This pose just leaves some to be desired. I feel like I can't fully judge her physique because the pose is not showcasing it the best. So yeah, she has hourglass shape, but her waist is looking wide because she's showing us the full waist. Obviously, her waist is not wide. See how tight it is. So yeah, that is what I think about the front pose. And yeah, the polishing things, just darker tan, amp up the glam a little bit, take the hair off the back shoulder, maybe drop this hand down a little bit because it's cutting her physique into like a really short upper part and a really long lower part. And we want even sections. So yeah, that's my take on the front pose. And then her back pose looks really good. It's just going to be what we said a second ago, which is, well, her hair was fully on her back last time, which was good. So I would make sure, take the extra second to sweep all your hair onto your back and not have it off center like this, because this does not look symmetrical. Even though that's a small thing, it's just that extra polish thing that shows the judges you know what you're doing. So yeah, I would want that. She has a beautiful taper into her waist. I would say maybe because her glutes are looking a little overpowering, even though everything seems equally as bubbly, it looks like her glutes are a little bit overpowering. She definitely has a lot of upper outer glute. What I would do is maybe wear a suit cut that covers a little bit more. This is a really, really tiny bottom, which, dang girl, you look amazing. I would love to look like that, but in the interest of looking balanced from top to bottom, I would probably wear a bigger suit bottom to minimize and not make your glutes look like they're that overpowering compared to the rest of you. I would also angle the toes a little bit more forward. Maybe. The first thing I'd like to see is a bigger suit bottom. And the reason I say we should angle the toes in a little bit is because the sweep, it doesn't look overpowering, but she is just looking very lower body dominant. It looks like she's posing really hard when she has her toes angled out this far, but I can also see why she would have her toes angled out this far, because her glutes are overpowering to her legs based on just this picture again. But yeah, so if her toes were angled more forward, her glutes would look really out of proportion to her legs. You want them to taper down you want your glutes to taper down into your legs, but yeah, so I wonder if she would just look like two glutes on top of too small of legs. So maybe for balance, it is the best move to do this. And maybe she should just straighten her knee just slightly. It doesn't have to be fully straight, and I wouldn't want it to be fully straight, but just slightly, and wear a bigger suit bottom, and maybe arch a little bit less because it's making her upper body look really short in comparison to her legs. And she already does seem to have a shorter torso than her lower body, which is not a bad thing, but there are just some extra considerations you would take to look a little bit more balanced. But yeah, she looks amazing, like really good. How was she placed in the past? 7th earlier this year, and then the past 4th and 6th. So yeah, just a couple adjustments. And I like the red suit on her. Okay, and then in 3rd place, we have Alum. And maybe I didn't say she would win. I don't know who I said would win. Sorry, guys. Feels like a long time ago. Ooh, this pose looks really pretty on her. How tiny her waist is in this little model pose. Looks really pretty. I really like her makeup. It looks like her, but better. Her, but amped up, which is what we want. So let's look at this front pose. In the front pose, I would say she's arching a little bit much because it's making her ribs pop out at the top. And so yeah, I would stand up just straighter, bring that arm in because it's making her upper body look a little bit like out of whack, and like she's tilted back. So I would stand up just a little bit straighter, bring this arm in closer to frame the glute better. I know I always say that. And it is personal for everyone. Like, should you have your arms, but a pretty general rule is keeping the arm straighter onto the body, and not far away because it looks distracting if it's far away. So I know I say that all the time, but some things are just like in most people's best interest. And then same thing with putting her hand at that tiniest part of her waist. When it's that skin flowing into skin, it just makes the waist look wider. And with how much she's arching, it's also making the waist look wider, because it's becoming closer to the same width as her glutes, if that makes sense. And then also it's causing this wrinkling right here because she's arching so much. So it's just doing things against her that are avoidable. So yeah, that's what I would say there. And I would say probably just more overall size, but she does look pretty balanced. She's looking a little bit more conditioned in the top, right up in here, than she is in the bottom. So yeah, I would just say there's kind of an imbalance and asymmetry there. So yeah, stand up a little straighter. Don't sit into this hip so much. She's also sitting into the hip, which is causing this lower abdomen to look like it's, I don't want to say bulge out, because obviously her waist is tight, you know? Like, it sounds so rude to say anything about bodybuilding because all of these people are perfect, you know? So, but yeah, that's what I think. I think her makeup looks pretty, and hair looks good. I don't love the shape of the suit top. It's looking a little bit saggy, like because of this shape here. So I would probably tie the top a little bit tighter to kind of pull her boobs in a little bit more. I don't know. Just the way the triangle is pointing out that way is not reading as symmetrical to me as I want it to. I think the color is pretty, but it's like what I would say when I worked at Mac. When people would say they wanted to wear blue eyeliner because they have blue eyes, I'd be like, okay, well, or they'd just be wearing the same one for like 10 years. And I'd say, okay, well, it's not doing anything against you, but it's also not doing any favors necessarily. So do we want to try something that would make your eyes pop that much more with just a slight change? And they would be like, oh yeah, actually I do. So yeah, that's kind of how I'm feeling about the suit. The background is also really dark, so maybe it's great in person. But yeah, it's just looking kind of blah to me. It's almost black if it doesn't even, maybe it does have a black base and more of those greenish stones on there, like green and dark blue stones. So yeah, I would just wear something that pops more. I know I usually am a hater on royal blue, but royal blue would be really pretty on her. So yeah, that's what I'm thinking there. I would do a different shape suit top. It's just looking like saggy at the bottom here, and then it looks like it's pointing all the way that way, and it doesn't look like it's giving her much like volume. Not that you have to have huge boobs to win. You absolutely don't, and a lot of times it can go against you. I mean, not a lot of times, but it does have the chance of going against you. So yeah, that's what I think there. Let's look at her back pose. Oh, but another thing, she looks very happy and excited to be on stage. That's what we talk about all the time. You want to look like you're having fun. In all these stage shots, she's smiling. Like, beautiful smile. Looks like she's having fun. Love her. Love the attitude. Love it. Okay. Back pose. Let's look at her back pose. So, I would say she just needs to be a little bit more conditioned. So, looking at the back, I am kind of leaning towards, yeah, I think she does need to be a little more conditioned. I was saying her top looked more conditioned than her lower. What you want to do in bodybuilding is get to a point where you look as conditioned top to bottom. Sometimes the reason you can't, though, is because you don't have enough muscle. So, what did my old coach say? He said your upper body should look ready at like 10 weeks out and your lower needs to catch up. He said something like that. And yeah, that's what I would say here. It looks like she might be holding a little bit of water here in the glutes, and that could be the same reason she was showing that wrinkling on her side in the front pose. So yeah, I would say maybe she's holding a little bit of water and inflammation. That could be for a lot of reasons. Maybe it's travel, stress, cycle. That could be also she worked out really hard the day before and is still carrying inflammation from that, or she's been doing a lot of cardio still and hasn't had a chance for her body to relax. So it could be a lot of reasons. At the same time, she's looking very detailed in here, which is really leading to me to believe that she's holding water. So that wrinkling on the side and the kind of softness in here, but also the tan looks like it might just not be sitting right. It's looking greenish gray almost, so it could just be the pictures, who knows? But yeah, I would say the stance, though, is good. Maybe she could take a little bend out of the knees, but not really even. Like, I think it's just going to be a matter of being in condition for her. Her hair could be a little bit shorter to show, like, the bottom 1 or 2 inches of the low back. But yeah, so that's my take there. I think she looks fabulous. And maybe just getting a little tighter is all she needs. And congratulations, because this is the highest it looks like she has placed this year. So good for her. Love that. Okay. Who's next? Third place. I mean, not third place. Fourth place, Min. Okay, Min, what do we think about you? Okay, I don't know who I'm turning into today. Okay. Okay, let's talk about Min. Min, the makeup looks good. I like the makeup. I want the hair off the shoulder, and I think she's just not quite conditioned enough. So it looks like she's posing kind of hard to compensate for that, so because we're seeing that wrinkling here. So that's telling me maybe she's holding water, or maybe she's arching a lot. But yeah, I would say the tan is looking, and it could just be pictures, the tan is looking a little bit blotchy here. I would like her to wear a suit that pops off her skin more. It's not that I don't think this suit color is good for her. I think it could be good for her, but it could be the lighting, and also I think she has those AB stones on there that are reflecting really light. When you wear a lot of AB stones or clear stones on your suit, then they absorb a lot of light and reflect back and look like headlights. So I think that might be what she's running into here. So maybe just either a more saturated base color or more saturated stones on top of the existing base color. So that's what I think. And she might also be holding water because she's looking a tiny bit distended here. But I think if she stood straighter up, dropped the hand a little bit so it's not directly on that belly button like we've talked about before, then it would be a more polished look. Same with taking the hair off the shoulder. But overall, I think she'll probably need some more time to grow. It looks like she just went pro earlier this year, so congratulations! God knows if I stepped on stage right now, like I shouldn't step on stage. That, I don't mean she shouldn't have stepped on stage. Now that I say that, that's what it came off like. That's not what I meant, just so you know. Okay. And then back pose. Tons of volume to these glutes, girl. They look good. Yeah, the tan is looking blotchy, but so did alums. So maybe it was the show promoter, or maybe it's just maybe it was the tan person, or maybe it's the lighting, or just these pictures. But yeah, I don't love the T-back. We've talked about Ashley Kay with the T-back. It's making the glutes look squared in here, and we want it to round the glutes in that heart shape to accentuate the roundness of the glutes. So I would want more fabric up in these edges here. I think the pose is pretty good. I don't necessarily think she's posing too hard. When you have really bright blonde hair on stage like this, though, it does the similar thing to what we said with the crystals, which is it absorbs and it reflects a lot of the light, so it can just be harsh. So I would think maybe like a different tone of this color, or a shadow root and a deeper tone would be more flattering on stage. But I know it's really hard to get your hair this color, so if she kept it this way, then good for her, because it's really hard to get your hair this light. So yeah, I would say pose looks pretty good. It's just going to be a conditioning thing and some polishing details like the tan, suit color, and hair color. That's what I think. Obviously, that's what I think. This is my channel. Okay. So, hi. Let's see what we think. Okay. I would say she looks great. She looks very happy. Love that. Looks like she's having a great time. I think she's as fully posed as we have her here. Let's just double check. Yeah, that's just the most pose she has here. We'll look at the comparison again. But yeah, I would say she's looking a little off balance because she's pushing her hip away. This can't be fully posed. I can't accept that. Let's go back and look at the comparisons. Okay, so comparisons. She'll probably be in like this third photo, I'd imagine, because she got 5th place. So where are you, girl? Let me find you. Okay. I say okay as if I found her, but I didn't find her. Oh no, you guys. You really caught me on a weird day. Okay, whatever. We're just gonna have to go with it. I'm gonna go with it. Oh, no, we're getting warmer. Here she is. Okay. Yeah, I would say she's still putting her hip too far back. Her torso's leaned over. Bring that arm in closer. Stand up straighter. Let's just go back to her regular photo. So yeah, stand up straighter. because it's going to make the waist look wider and it makes you look off balance and unnatural. And what you want is to look like you're just standing there, like we always say. So yeah, I think that would automatically help her. Maybe angling this knee in slightly towards the judges so we can see some of that detail there, because right now it's looking washed out. I also think the lighting has been harsh and other people's leg has looked really pale, this back leg here, while everything else looked good. So it could just be that, and I do see a little bit of detail, so maybe it's fine this way, but I would be interested in seeing it angled in just slightly. Same thing, drop that hand down, but I think for her it's going to be just overall muscle, because she looks like she just doesn't have as much volume as like the winner or those top couple girls. So I mean, definitely not as much as the girl who got second. Her glutes are crazy, they look good. And then let's look at this back pose. She did it in the back of the stage. It was kind of dark, but yeah, this kind of reinforced what I was thinking. Just more density needed in the glute overall, because they look like they're in the same, they look like the same width as the legs, and you want them to taper down into the legs. The suit bottom I think works. I think she's pinched a little bit up here. I don't think if she pinched a less that it would have changed her placing, though. I think the placing would have stayed the same unless she had a little bit more development to her muscularity. And honestly, most people need that, you know, so she looks great. So good for her. Congratulations on 5th place. Huge improvement from 16th place. So that is awesome. So good for you. Okay. Now, oh, and why do I think the winner won? I think the winner won because she had great balance from top to bottom, really beautiful stage presence. We'll look at that comparison one more time. I promise, only one more time. And I think that she wasn't overly muscular, and that, yeah, she was just really balanced overall. So, whatever, we're not going to bring that up again. Sorry about this video, you guys. Okay. Let's do the Vietnam show. Okay, so, Natalia won! I was so happy to see this. This is what we predicted. And we're going to pull up the other 5 as well, so yeah. Natalia won. And let's look at it and dissect why, other than because she is absolutely dynamite and I'm obsessed with her. Okay, here she is. So, she looks so good! Oh my god. Okay, suddenly my day is completely turned around. Okay, Natalia, what do I think? Because that's what everyone wants to know. Okay, I think you look fantastic. I would take the hair off the shoulder. She's looking a little bit profile, but her conditioning looks spot on. Not too much detail anywhere. Look at this bubbliness all around her physique to all her muscles. Like, I'm obsessed. Same thing stands. I think if she could just fill out this upper glute and just glute profile in general a little bit more, that would be fabulous. And she's doing exactly what we were saying the other girl should do, which is bring that arm in closer, because it really shows that hourglass shape. See how keeping that arm tighter to the physique without covering the glute accentuates how your lat tapers into your waist. Like, it's just such a tight pose. It looks so good. Do I think she could stand to open up a little bit more? Maybe, but I think it could throw off her balance. What I would really like to see is taking the hair off the shoulder. So we can see more of that clavicle width. I don't love the suit. I don't love when there's trim on suits like this. So yeah, just that's my own personal like stoning preference, but I think she looks beautiful. Skin looks great. Very smooth conditioning all around. Tan looks perfect. It's not blotchy at all. Makeup is popping on her, making her look like a version of herself, but like a filtered version of herself, if you will. Not improved. She's perfect the way she is. You know, I think that. Okay, let's go to the back pose. Dang! Oh, God, yeah. See, I hate when suits do this, where they have like, why is it a light fabric, and then you take the dark stones that you put on it, and you just put it on there like polka dots? Like, why? I don't get it. Okay, you've caught me on a raw day, because that really upsets me, and usually I wouldn't go so hard on suit makers like that publicly. Okay. Privately in my head I would. I don't mean, yeah. Okay, you get it. So what do I think? I think she could stand to have a more coverage on the suit bottom. It's that same T-back thing we were talking about earlier. And I would like to see her spread her lats a little bit more because we're seeing the cups of her suit on the sides here and not really a taper of muscularity. It's showing taper, but not of muscularity. And this is like a muscle show, you know? So, yeah, I would want to cover a little bit more of the glute here to round them off. They're looking a little bit squared. And I would maybe pull them down in the back, up in the front, so we see that heart shape to the glutes. And again, yeah, just opening up those shoulders a little bit because they're looking almost a tiny bit narrow compared to her hips. And I want to see them match. So, yeah, so she could arch a little bit less because I think it's also washing out this glute ham tie. I think if she weren't arching so much, then her glutes would look like they had more pop to them. But right now they look, and maybe she just needs more glaze to like show the difference, you know, show the dimension to her lower body. So yeah, probably more glaze, open up the shoulders a little bit, change the suit. Honestly, I would change the suit altogether. I like the color, but don't like the suit itself. And yeah, that's all I would say. But yes, Natalia. Oh no, that's not all I would say. I would say just brush through the curls, just make them look a little bit more cohesive. But yeah, congratulations! Oh my god, I'm so stoked about this. Good for her. Okay. Let's look at who got second place. Okay, Zinyi. So she was also just at the Olympia. So it was Natalia. Natalia and her both competed at the Olympia this year. And Zinyi, yeah, it was her first Olympia. So she's competed a few times this year. And what we've said about her is that we wanted her to change the suit because it was like the same base color as the Natalia suit we just saw, and it just looked like a little bit washed out. But so yeah, I think the red looks good. I would like the cups to cover a little bit more. They look a little bit small, like we're seeing a lot of skin up here. And the red looks good. It does look good. But I think she could stay in that like indigo-ish, greenish, territory. And that would pop, but yeah, I'm not mad about this red suit. I don't love when there are dark red stones on bright suit bases because it reads like kind of polka dot-ish to me and not really cohesive. But that's just me really nitpicking. A judge isn't gonna say that, and that's probably not gonna be the difference between things would be really tight if it were like came down to your suit. It's unlikely it would come down to like this suit versus another suit. But yeah, so another reason I think she could have more coverage up here is because her lower body looks really dominant and her upper body looks smaller. So I would just get a bigger suit cup, I guess. And I think her makeup looks beautiful. She's radiant. And then I think the tan looks good. And she just needs maybe more chest development, like a little bit, or that bigger suit top. But yeah, and I would like to see her split this stance a little bit more and maybe angle slightly away so I see a little bit less of the waist. Like maybe so right here is like the stopping point of what I see, so I don't see this like 1.5, 2 inches there. And I think that would really give her more of the hourglass shape because right now she's looking a little bit bottom heavy. So if she angled away a little bit, opened up this stance a little bit, and had her shoulders facing like this but with her waist away, then we would get more hourglass shape. But it might just be a matter of building up these lats so the glutes don't look as overpowering. Because her shoulders don't look underpowering or underdeveloped or anything. But I think maybe she could stand to have a little bit more lat so this taper is more extreme. And it doesn't look like this smaller upper body and bigger lower body. So yeah, that's what I think there. And then as far as the back pose, fabulous back pose. Maybe she could have a little bit more shoulder development. I think she could stand up a little bit more by and try, but her glutes, or maybe she just needs to be more conditioned. Like, it's a lot of maybes with this one, because if she were more conditioned, her lower body might not look as overpowering, because she could stand to be a little tighter with these glutes. I don't think they would look dug out if she got a little bit tighter, but I think she did a good job of fullness, but it's looking like not enough volume in the glute compared to the legs. It's looking a little one-dimensional, which is honestly insulting for me to say because I would kill for my glutes to look like this. But if we're talking about like the Olympia again, I think that's what it's going to be. And did they post I know they did post the results, so let's just see what the results were, because I didn't even look at the scorecard. Okay, so for the Monster show, it was a perfect score for first place, and then a 1 point difference between 7th and 8th. So yeah, like I said, Alum looked really good. And then it was perfect scores for 4 and 5, and then we have the show that we're looking at now, which is the Vietnam show. And let's see what the results were. So yeah, they just wrote everything as, I guess they didn't write everything as a perfect score. There was some debate between 6th and 7th place, but it was a perfect score for those first people. So yeah, and then we'll go look at the scorecard for the other people too, the shows that pictures weren't posted for. So yeah, I would say she's just looking a little washed out in here and a little lower body dominant. So maybe she does need to just, I would say, yeah, build the lats, build up the shoulders and arms a little bit, because her lower body looks more developed than her upper body. That was a roundabout way of me just telling you that. Okay. Oh, I love this person. I know I told you guys I was hoping that she would do really well. And I wanted to see her arch a little bit less, which she didn't. It looks like everything's pretty much the same as last time, which is great. But what would I do? I would get a bigger suit top. Same issue we ran into with Zinyi. Looks like it might even be the same suit or suit maker. I also don't love when I can see the color of the string connect to the connector. Like, I would like the connector to just disappear behind the neck, because it looks it's just that extra bit of polish for me. Again, no judge is gonna give a shit about that. So yeah, maybe tie it tighter or something. But yeah, bigger suit top. Don't arch quite as much because it's making her look lower body dominant. Makeup and hair look beautiful. Maybe get it off of your eye. Conditioning looks really good. Complexion looks really good. So yeah, same thoughts that I had in the last show that she did. And then when we look at her back pose, such a killer back pose. What do I want? She has a really wide clavicle, which is wonderful. Maybe if she did arch a little bit more, it would make her glutes more in line with her shoulders. Her upper body is looking overpowering. So what I would do is I would push the torso itself forward more. So if this is how she's standing from the side, I would push her torso a little more forward. And that would then put the glutes in balance with the shoulders. And that's what Bill Sibilia, Olympia judge, told me to do when I went to that seminar between my qualifying show and the pro qualifying show I did this year. He had me do that same thing. I was standing too straight up, which is not usually a criticism that I have of people. So yeah, I think she could do that, but I think everything else looks really good. She'll get her qualification. I'm not worried about that. Okay, and then we have 4th place. I was thinking about doing all the predictions in the same video, but we aren't going to, because this video is already almost 40 minutes. Okay, and let's look at 4th place. So I would say complexion looks good. She looks like she's really happy to be there too. So love that. Yeah, big smile. I do like the suit. I think it's cute. I would say her waist is looking like the same width as her glutes here. I would want her to open up her stance a little bit, angle that knee towards the judges a little bit more, and then see what that looks like. Maybe get a little tighter. It looks like she could just be holding a little bit of water, but she has a good stage vibe. I really like that. And then these cups are so close together that it's just looking like her stance is narrow and the suit is looking narrow, if that makes sense. So yeah, I would open up that. I would just make those adjustments to the front pose. And then the back pose, let's see. Better lighting in this one. I would say she's arching posing a little bit too hard overall. So I think what she lacks is some just depth to the glutes in general. So I think she just needs more size. And then last year, Taiwan is where she... Okay, yeah. So she's competed a lot as a pro. So that's good for her. This is her highest placing, I think. Yes, congratulations. So yeah, I would just say a little bit more glute. not pushing these elbows out too much. So she's doing what we said a jockey should do, which is leaning her torso more forward, but she could probably stand a little bit straighter up, and not point these elbows out too much. It's looking a little bit forced. And if she stood straighter up, maybe her hair wouldn't be touching her glutes like this. You see her hair actually bubbling out because it's sitting on her and being pushed up and out. So that's better than it hanging over the glutes. So that worked out in her favor. But yeah, and I would just take the extra second to get the hair off the shoulders. But I think it's just going to come down to more size and some posing tweaks overall. And then we have our 5th place, who is, oh, that's a fierce little look. Love that. Okay, so 5th place, we have Heather. So, let's look at Heather. This red suit I think is better. Heather, she looks beautiful. Makeup, hair looks really pretty, really polished. Skin looks good. It looks like she's having some tanning issues right there. Like maybe she was wearing pants or something. I don't know. Or sat on fabric that had wrinkles in it. But yeah, I would say she's just looking a little bit hard. She's a little muscular in this upper body. So I don't really... Is she too muscular? Or is she really conditioned because she wanted to look muscular? Because it looks like she lacks a little bit of this glute depth. In comparison to her upper body. Like her biceps and triceps are similar to her shoulders. So yeah, and I would bring this in closer. And I would bring this arm in closer to frame her glute. And then looking at her back pose, I would say that, yeah, you can see the glute start to slope off. So I really think it is just going to be a muscle density thing. And yeah, more tanning issues here. So yeah, that's what I would say about her. And then let's look at the 2 shows that we don't have pictures for. So Everest Muscle Games. We had... Okay, yeah, they just wrote, well, okay, yeah, again, there's some dispute between Anna Setlack and Jess Feeney. There was a 1-point difference between them, and then some dispute between 11th and 12th. So, yeah, but perfect scores for the top people, so good for you. And then we can look at the Invictus Pro, which is what Ashley K won, and... the score, they wrote it as a perfect score. So I prefer when they don't write it as a perfect score. I highly doubt all the judges completely agreed. So yeah, okay, now I'm going to make a video on all of the lists. So I'll see you in a sec. Bye.